Do you remember when rappers actually felt mysterious? When they had this real aura? We love to use that word. We love to throw the word aura around, but when rappers and people actually had that, Cardi during the Leaks era, Drake in his early days, Michael Jackson, Travis Scott even. Today, new rappers don't have that, and I actually think that it's killing their longevity, but let's talk about it. My first point being oversharing has ruined aura, it has ruined Mystique. Now, this isn't any artist's fault at all, but social media has ruined the mystique. The oversharing and the over access that we have to a lot of these rappers and a lot of these people's lives changes a lot about how we see them and how we feel about them. Fans see everything, studio clips, interviews, thoughts, and we get to really dive into our favorite artists' minds. And to me, that's a really cool thing. And that's something that really we didn't have years ago. The ability to be able to see an artist's Instagram story, to be able to see them post constantly, to be able to see them in general. When we had artists like Michael Jackson, like Drake and Travis Scott, and even Cardi in the early days, it's not that social media wasn't there, but it really wasn't that easy to access your favorite artist unless you went to see them perform, unless you went to a meet and greet, or unless you saw them in a music video. So that mystique was really a part of what made them so special. When you listened to their music, you felt like you really connected with that artist. Mystery built scarcity. Now everything is content first and artistry second. And it's one of those things that I'm learning to this day, where me, myself as an artist, I really wanted everybody to attach to my music first. You know, I wanted everybody to be like, yo, like, this song is fire. And I get those comments, right? But more often than not, a lot of people tell me, yo, like, your content's great. Your content's this, or this artist with the content, this artist with their interviews. It's all about the content and then the music. It's all about that discovery first part and then the music. And I think that's not a bad thing, because we get to connect to the artist. We get to connect to people. But it does make the landscape very different. But back to my point, oversharing ruins the aura. For example, an artist can go live every day and fans feel like they're deeply connected with them, but then fans could also very quickly get tired of them long term. My next point being that the algorithm demands constant posting. And again, this is not artists' fault. This is not creators' fault, but it's just the reality of our situation right now. TikTok, IG, they require a certain amount of rhythm and a certain amount of posting and consistency. And if you don't give those platforms that consistency, they will shadow ban you. They will push your content to less people. I see it myself right now with Instagram, where if I'm not doing things the exact way that the Instagram algorithm wants me to, they don't push my content. It's like I could post the same thing on YouTube and TikTok and get quadruple the engagement despite me having quadruple the amount of followers on Instagram. And it just proves that these platforms really work in a way where they want you on there constantly. Why? Because how are they going to get people to stay on their apps? I get it from their perspective, but it does hurt that mystique. It does hurt that creativity that we used to really hold on to. Artists used to disappear between eras and then come back with a whole new aesthetic. But now, not only do I feel like a lot of the times they don't have much of a choice but to stay in front of people's faces because they want to stay relevant, they need to stay relevant to survive in their careers. But when artists do disappear and then come back, if they come back and people don't really appreciate it, or people forgot about them, their numbers go down, their sales trajectories change, and we get to see all these different things happen, all these different negatives that wouldn't happen a few years ago. Today, if you're not posting every day, if you're not dropping every day, you fall off. I like to think about artists like Sofego, where Sofego just dropped Mania. He just dropped his, to me, one of his best projects, and it was solid, but he got a lot of hate when he wasn't dropping, when he wasn't in front of people's faces. And it just comes to show how different the landscape is now, because if Sofego were to have done that maybe 6 years ago, 7 years ago, people would be like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, regardless of what the music sounded like, because they got enough time to breathe in between. But because Fago left that time to breathe, people were more so angry and upset, but that wasn't really his fault. It's the landscape that we live in now. My third point is that there's no more era building. What I mean by this is that old artists used to build eras. They used to build worlds with their outfits, with their color palettes, album mythology, rollouts. And now new artists drop singles with no buildup, no nothing, just like, here's a song. And I do think that it's just a different landscape, right? Because even myself as an artist, again, I'm starting to release songs every week, and it's really just because of the landscape we live in. I know that my fans, the people who listen to me and the people who are starting to listen to me, they want that music and they want it now. You know, once they listen to something over and over again, no matter how good it is, fans want something else. And I get that, but it has also really hurt artists being able to create real full worlds and develop them, you know? Artists like Drake, Travis Scott especially. Travis Scott is a great example of an artist who was able to build a world over time. Playboi Carti is one of the only artists I know in recent time who was able to build a world around himself, around his music. But that's one of those things where it's such a rare case. Artists can't really do that anymore. Carti built an entire mythology without saying anything, but new artists don't do that, and they kind of can't. The fourth point being that labels don't develop mystique anymore. Labels used to create mystery with PR, magazines, slow interviews, slow drops. Now they rely on TikTok and viral moments. Why? Because they see that's where the attention is. Now, if we see attention going somewhere, of course we're gonna focus on it. If everybody's on TikTok to the point where when the United States was going to ban the platform TikTok, we all went up in this uproar because of how much it's helped us, how much it's provided to so many people, but also how much our attention is on that app. Everybody went crazy, but it says so much. You can't build mystique when a label is forcing you to be a TikTok creator, when there's really no other way to grow. And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing. If it wasn't for social media, if it wasn't for a platform like YouTube or TikTok, I would not be growing right now. So I'm grateful for these platforms. But I just want to say this all to say that mystique isn't dead. It's just harder to maintain, and it's harder to even start. So I want artists to take all this in, not in a bad way, but hear what I'm saying when I say, don't try to be mysterious anymore. Yes, it was cool at one point, but it does not work anymore, because we live in an era where you need to keep people's attention. You need to grab people's attention, and in as many ways as you could figure out doing that, just do it. The mysterious thing, it's not gonna work anymore. I wish it would, but we are living in a generation where our minds are attached to the thing in our pocket, our phone, and we very, very easily lose our attention on things. So I don't know, but I think the artists who figure out ways to be mysterious, there's gonna be a group of artists who brings things back. You know, I think this next coming year, 2026, I think it's going to be something fresh for rap. It's gonna be something that we've needed for a really long time. But until then, do you think that mystique still matters in rap today, or is being accessible the new norm? Let's talk about it. I hope everybody's feeling good today. If you are, please make sure to subscribe. I've got more content coming on the way. And if you want to follow me or any of my own music, you could do that. Follow me everywhere, willarmani. It's been your boy. Stay positive.